Nerds, believe me when I say this is the best game I've played in quite some time. So obviously this is Nightmare Cathedral coming to GameFound from Board and Dice. This is a prototype, although it's a damn good looking prototype. Of course, the minis are resin printed. A few of them did break in handing off the prototype to a few different content creators. But we did get a chance to play this game, and oh my god, is this game awesome. So what it is obviously beautiful minis, but you have a area control game blended with an action selection game, and there's also like a track that you go up as well. But on top of that, there's like two different phases to the game. In the first phase of the game, you are building this cathedral, and then once the cathedral is built, then the nightmares are unleashed. And there are a ton of nightmares. We had 8 to choose from with this prototype that each have their own super cool mini, and every nightmare does its own specific thing. And the version of the game we're playing, 2 nightmares are released, and you can either choose from this selection available or deal them out randomly. And that really shifts the whole purpose of the game. Because this is one of those games where it's important to know like how to get rules, because it's not just area control where you want to control the whole board. There's going to be a lot of like waxing and waning of who is powerful and who has what. But controlling the board doesn't give you victory points. You get points from building these towers, which you can go and attack people's towers and tear them down. That's a little bit difficult. You get points from the ritual track down along the bottom, where you can sacrifice your cult followers to get like special ability, like one-time bonuses plus victory points. You also have the dream cards, which are like quests to complete throughout the game. They all have conditional statements on them. So if you do this, put this card down, and that gets you points. That's also the main way that you build your cathedral. And then there's a few other cards in the game that give you points. So, like I said, you have an area control game with action selection, but then we're going to build out a little bit on that, because on the start of the game, you have your action selection up here at the top, and there are 5 basic actions that you can accomplish. Starting off, everyone has symmetric options to choose from, and then throughout the game, you have the ability to upgrade your actions to be unique and more powerful. But on top of just regular action selection, I really like the way that this is organized. You can't just pick the same action again and again and again, because you go to the place that you want to take your action, and then it tells you, like, that's the daytime space, and it tells you which nighttime space you go to, and then you can't pick an action that is adjacent to that nighttime space. So you go over here, take this action, slide off, then you go here, slide to the middle. Well, now almost everything's blocked out, so you have to take one of the 2 outside ones. It's a really good way of kind of slowing everyone down and stopping you from just completely bum rushing one strategy. And then on top of the action selection, it has one of my absolute favorite mechanics when it comes to these kind of games, where everyone at the table has the option to follow the action, which keeps everyone engaged the entire game. You're paying attention to not only what you want to do, but like, what does that person want to do, so I can prevent them from doing it, because I know if I go to this action, they get to follow it. And now the follow action is not the same specific action. A lot of times it is a like neutered version of that reaction. But also, depending on which nighttime space you're on, remember you go to your daytime space to take your action, slide to the nighttime. Depending on where you are there, lets you know if you get to conform or dissent to their action. So conforming is typically a stronger action that is more akin to the base action. And dissenting is typically a little bit weaker. Like, a lot of them are just draw a card or move up on the ritual track across the bottom. But really liked how it keeps everyone really engaged the entire game, and it makes every single choice you make really important. Now, I did mention the ritual track across the bottom, and like I said, you sacrifice your followers off to it. So I do want to address the like creepy nature of the board game. When I first saw the sculpts is what really got me, because they're absolutely beautiful minis. Like, the detail is exquisite. really cool artwork they're based on, but it's really obvious that they're supposed to be creepy and nightmarish, hence the name of the game. Now, when it comes to creepy horror games, there are definitely people out there, especially people that play with their kids, that may be a little bit standoffish to, ooh, how creepy is that? What kind of themes do I have to deal with? What do I have to explain to my kids? And really, like, in the gameplay, there's not a ton of narrative going on. So it's not like you're constantly reading about, like, oh my gosh, this body was found and these people are being sacrificed. There's no gore in the game. It's mostly just like, in the mechanics, you know, hey, spend followers down there. You're sacrificing them in a ritual, but you don't have to really explain that. So really the creepiest part of the game is going to come into these sculpts, and then you can take it from there as far as you want to. The other layer that I think is really important to talk about, and it's something that I really appreciate that they did, is in area control, obviously you have combat going on. Now, not only is there an NPC, so these gray dudes on the map are not controlled by a player, they are controlled by the board. So there's always something to fight, always somebody like expanding. There's always something going on, even if you're not directly attacking each other. But in addition to that, there is not deterministic combat. So when you go to confront someone, you get to play as many cards as you have dudes in that section. And now you are limited to 3 dudes in a section unless you have a card that lets you upgrade some places to 4. So when you attack with your units, you count up how many you have, and you have the option to play up to that many cards. Now, multi-purpose cards, because a lot of these cards are just actions or upgrades to your action selection at the bottom, there are symbols, both fight and defense. So I have 3 guys, I get to pick my 3 cards, we simultaneously reveal, and you see how many attack I did, how many defense I have, and we count out whoever has left, and you eliminate those units. I think that's really good combat because it's simple. There's not a ton of dice rolling, so it's not super lucky, random, but it's not quite deterministic. There are some crazy cards out there where one card just does 3 attack, and you just didn't see that coming. And then if you're fighting against the NPCs, there's another deck specifically for them that you can use to like determine their fighting power. You also have your shapers on the board, which are these cool winged sculpts, and they don't actually do any fighting, but they do like affect certain aspects of the game, and you can convert other people into your cult. So that's really cool that you can fly that guy around and use him to turn people to your side. So guys, like I said, I absolutely loved this game. I have 0 complaints about it, but the most important thing that I can tell you is that as of posting this video, there are only a few days left to back this game on GameFound. That's right, it is on GameFound, and you can back it, help make the game as awesome as possible, and I highly recommend you do that by clicking the link down in the description below. Just below that, you'll see a link to Game Toppers, which playing games on a topper like this is just delightful. You can see this game takes up a little bit of space. We had a 3-player game going on here, and while the table was full, we had plenty of room to have everything going on. Definitely recommend you check out Game Toppers, and also make sure you subscribe to our channel so you'll never be bored.